Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast. I'm 10 Types, joined by Uncommon Fossil, and today we have to talk about Pokemon TCG Live, right? Uncommon Fossil.
No. Yeah, I think we do. Yeah, I think we do. This week, it's live went down for a couple hours just randomly in the middle of the week. So it was just another reminder to me that live leaves much to be desired, and just what are we to make of live and what's the future there is kind of what's been on my mind lately.
Yeah, and when you say it went down without, like, they sometimes take it down without, like, I don't know, maybe they warn us, but it seems like they don't always warn us. They, like, take stuff down, but this was like it crashed. Like, it wasn't working, not like,
Right.
oh, they're updating it.
Yeah, it wasn't an upgrade, and honestly, when it goes down 8 hours at a time, every time they put new cards in, that's not a good sign either. But this time it was unexpected, and they said, "Hey, we're trying to figure out what it is." There was a notification in the forums, and this one time, I think it wasn't just live. I think Unite also went down, so maybe servers. I don't know what happened, but
Yeah,
again,
I mean, stuff happens, and I get it, but
right,
um, at the end of the day, if stuff just keeps happening, that's not a good sign.
right,
Bad
and
stuff.
correct. And live just it's been kind of a train wreck since it began, right? From the day they announced it, which got hype, and they got even content creators talking about how great it was going to be because they kind of leaked information to them intent, so that they could get the word out. And then they had to, like, a month later, say, "Oh wait, we're not ready to do it yet, so don't be too excited." And it just kept just being, they released the beta before it was anything that should have been, anybody should have seen it, and it's just been constant problems, and it still is not where it should be. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, and now actually, before I get into things, I want to address. I believe For the Win made a video
Mhm.
discussing live recently. This we had this idea before.
Yeah.
We saw that video, but admittedly, I didn't like watch it. I
Hmm.
kind of like clicked on it, muted it, and like skimmed through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's like separate. I think you talked about like visuals,
Okay.
and the visuals with live are like kind of weird because the joke is they like always update them and they don't really
Yeah.
improve them. They just like make lateral moves, like always. And so, but I think the visuals are okay. They're not like the greatest. They could be better. Um, and like customization, it's kind of weird, but it's okay. I think.
I think the visualizations are okay. I mean, I remember early on, as I still see, they still have the hexagon thing going on, but it's okay, right? At one point, it was basically just hexagons. But yeah, like with the latest update now on the coin toss, you get a little special effect and stars shoot out when you do the coin toss. It's like, do we really need this? Especially
Yeah.
when things like you play um, Ultra Ball to start on turn one, and it won't let me grab Squawkabilly EX, and I basically lose the game, and things like that just happen. Just
Yeah.
you get those random glitches all the time. So
Yeah. You know what they say, though, hexagons are bestagons, right?
there
So,
we go. And I'm
uh
looking here on the screen here. The play button is like has all these little glistening effects going around it nonstop and stuff. And again, it's just it's whatever. It's not bad necessarily, but get the game to work at this point.
yeah, like yeah, as you said, there's like the searching glitch, which is arguably the biggest glitch.
Outside of the not logging in glitch, right?
Yeah, well,
Assuming
I could say it is arguably a bigger glitch. It affects more people.
yes,
I think pretty much everyone I've talked to, it's like affected at least like once.
every live
Um,
user has not been able to draw cards at times. I think yes.
yeah, or search. Yeah,
Search for
so it's
something,
and then yeah, and that's like, I mean, it's weird, and it's been in the game I think the whole time, and I don't think it's really improved. I think it has to do with some like disconnecting. I'm assuming, but
maybe.
it's still like an issue, right? But the live has to fix.
Yeah, and maybe if it is a disconnecting issue, live is I don't know fully. Obviously, this whole login issue, but part of it is live is very resource intensive. If your internet is at all glitchy, it causes massive problems. And I think it really wants high level of hardware specs. Like, because I think from the comments, if you get rid of your decks, most of your saved decks, it loads more often. But it shouldn't be taking that long to like load up the decks, right? To load live up. And if you have too many decks and your computer's too slow, it says, nope, sorry, I'm not going to load today. So it's just, it shouldn't. It was an issue with PTCGO too. Like I would play a graphic intensive game where there's stuff going all over the screen, and maybe my computer would heat up a little, but not even that much. But then I play a game of PTCGO, and my computer would be like 10 times hotter. And the same thing is with live. Why it shouldn't take that be that resource attempted to play a game of Pokemon.
Yeah, I know. I think I've said so. There are some Pokemon like simulators or something, or other clients stuff like
Hmm.
the PCG Simulator, which we're
Right.
gonna talk about. And I've kind of joked and said that they're glorified versions of like PowerPoint or something.
Right.
So like they shouldn't be like that hard. But so is live, right? Like live
Yeah.
shouldn't be. It's just like some images moving around. Sure, there's stuff going on, but like, what's it doing? Like, why is it struggling? Like, why
Yeah.
does my like phone heat up so much and stuff like that?
Right, Trace. And also now, I think you had it today. We were talking before the podcast started when they give the notification at the start of the game, or they have the notification now saying we fixed the issue. I think, but if you when that notification when it's trying to load, it gives the notification. If you don't click OK, it just kind of my computer just heats up, and all of a sudden I turn around. It's like, what's that noise? Oh, it's my fan like going full blast, trying to keep my computer from melting because live is just going nuts.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, I know we don't really need to talk about the glitches too much, but at
No,
the end of the day, they're
no.
arguably the biggest issue. And
Yeah,
they obviously need to get fixed.
right.
And they're obviously not getting fixed as well.
Right. I mean, yeah, I think the bigger thing to me is what's the future of live? What's it going to be? Because when live first came out, people were excited about the idea of, oh, okay, they'll get issues fixed faster than before under whatever the consulting group was, which I'm blanking on,
Direwolf
but
previously,
yeah,
or
Direwolf, I think, yeah,
yeah,
and obviously there are glitches there too, and it's going to happen. So, but the other thing was it. PTCGO was an old game; it had been around a while, and it wasn't up to the standards of other games. And at this point, Live's been out quite a while now, and it's still less functional than PTCGO was. And the idea was we want a better game than PTCGO, right? Because I think we need to talk about some of the other games at some point, and the other games are just better online experiences than Pokemon.
yeah. And one thing about PCCGO, I think so. I think a lot of people, and I'm just hearing it down in the comments section, and I
Hmm.
might post a poll about this, but whether you, the listener, played well, one if you play on live, but presumably a lot of you do, but if you played on PCGO, if you're like around for that,
Hmm.
um, because if a lot of people aren't and they just assume it's like good, because like live is so bad, so surely PCGO must have been good. PCGO was not that good. I think most people agree it's better than live, right? You would agree with that?
Yeah. Well, um, Live does have
Maybe,
certain
right?
features better. I mean, I will say, but
Yeah, definitely.
well, it had other game modes, and it didn't have problems on a regular basis, right? Those were the biggest things to it.
Yeah. So PTGGO was not great though. It
No.
was, as you said, it was very like old and outdated. Um, and
Yeah.
the big issue was that it was, and also like it didn't run super well. As you said, it got hot. And it was just old and outdated and needed to
Yeah.
get scrapped and then remade. Which is kind of weird that live also seems to be old and outdated and needs to get scrapped. But
Yeah, I mean, part of my thought was PTGO had been around. I don't know, was it 10 years or something? And obviously they keep adding mechanics and new cards, and it was like all these patches on top of patches, and it probably like spaghetti code at that point. So I figured a new client with Live would be a good start. But I'm wondering if they didn't make just some basic design flaws with Live, and
yeah, because a lot of people are saying like, oh, they didn't like try that much with live. But even if they didn't try, it should be better than this. I mean, if they didn't try much, right? And
yeah,
I also don't want to discredit the people who made it, but at the end of the day, it's not that like I'm not saying I could do something better because I couldn't.
right,
Um, but even that, maybe I could, right? Like so, um, what do you want to talk about now? I think we should talk about this PCG simulator,
okay.
um, and then Twin Leaf as well. So the PCG simulator, one, I don't like the name. I feel like it's very generic. I think I don't love live. I didn't like PCGO. I don't really like PCG live. Um,
No, because if you Google search like PCG Live, sometimes obviously you get live gameplay too, right? It's very generic in a sense, that name.
yeah. So anyway, I don't love the Pokemon TCG Simulator name. I do hope that it gets changed. Um, but anyway,
Yeah.
that doesn't really matter. Um, so that's made by Xiao Long, who is a I don't know. They made it.
Right, along
And
with
it's
other
a
people, correct? As far as
no. I don't think. I think
primarily
there was
him. Okay.
yeah. I think it was developed by one person. There was someone else. I think Araloo. I don't know if that's
Okay.
how I say the name, but or Araloo, and they I think tested. I think they're
Okay.
like friends, but I don't think
Had
they made it.
okay,
Um,
basically one person. It was like what, 3 months or something like that of
I
time.
think it was 3 months. So we're going to talk about Twin Leaf, and Twin Leaf was like announced. The PCG Simulator was not like announced; it just kind of
Right.
came out when it was ready,
Yeah.
which is probably good, right? Versus
Right.
like
Well, Twin Leaf, it took Pokemon's making the announcement and not getting a product out quickly, and they're upping the ante there.
I don't think not quite yet. I think it was
No.
what was it like? How many months was it for live?
Uh, I don't know. It might
That
have been
was like
3 or 4, maybe. I don't remember.
3 or 4. I thought it was more than that. I thought it was
Well, don't forget,
like
it was a very beta. It was very limited, right? That took one
yeah, oh yeah,
country for a
that weird
while,
limited beta that was
and then they kept adding like it was a country or two every month or something.
yeah. That was kind of strange. So maybe Twin Leaf has
I'm not sure.
taken more than anyway. So the PTG Simulator did not it just kind of came out, and what
Yep.
it does is it does not have automated actions, which is a very important aspect, and
Yes.
something that it doesn't have. But aside from that, it doesn't have a ladder. It's just a way to play the game. It's moderately similar to playing in person with cards, except it's
Right.
easier than that, and obviously you can play with people who you want physically with. So
Mm-hmm.
it's good. It's something that I've ran some tournaments on. It's really fun.
Yeah.
It's certainly not for everyone, but I think it has potential if it like keeps growing and advancing. Then it can become something really great, and I think it's something really cool we've seen so far. And in the right way to do something in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that it like works and it receives updates. And it's had positive feedback, and people like it, and it's just
Yeah.
good.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it came out at this point. I think it was probably one person for 3 months, and then it's been out less than 2 months, right? And had a lot of updates and a lot of improvements, both for stability and added features over that time frame. And there's good announcements about what they're doing and all that too, which Pokemon doesn't like to communicate very well.
Yeah. So, as you said, there was like a lot of waiting period between announcements and like stuff happening, and then with Twin Leaf, I want to talk
Yeah.
about Twin Leaf.
Hmm.
Twin Leaf, yeah, that did not, as you said, Twin Leaf has not come out.
Right. And that's what, it's been at least 6 months, I think.
Yeah, I think it's been around 6. Yeah, I guess it's a little more than 6 months. Or around that.
And it
So,
got a lot of hype because it was a big name person announced
yeah,
the idea.
yeah, yeah. Dan TDM, arguably the greatest YouTube, probably not the greatest YouTuber ever, but up there. And
A major
so,
player, certainly.
yeah, did he like retire? I don't know. I don't think he did. Been this big like. So okay, so for those of you who don't know, Uncommon Fossil is my father. I think a lot of people know that, but not everyone does. And
Yeah.
so we have a distinct generational difference. So
Yes.
you did not grow up watching YouTube, but
No.
so yeah, I actually didn't grow up watching Dan TDM, but Dan TDM is obviously a big YouTuber, um, not known for the Pokemon TCG. Uh,
But that's how he started out with Pokemon, right?
I think yes. So it's a little. I don't know all the details, but I believe he was friends with PTC Radio or the creator of that channel, Wasi or Ross.
Hmm.
Um, and they're like friends. I don't know how close they were friends. I'm sure Wasi would want to oversell that as that gives him more credibility. But I think he said they were like they weren't like close friends, but they're
Okay.
kind of friends.
Hmm.
And so they did like Pokemon TCG stuff together, and then they might have started YouTubes at similar times. Obviously, PTG Radio has seen a lot of success within the community,
Yeah.
the Pokemon TCG community. But his channel is it's kind of news announcement-y. But Dan
Right.
TDM obviously did like Minecraft stuff. So but then he decided to make this client call or simulator called Twinleaf or twinleaf.gg. There's a website. I think it still works. Um, and that's about it, right?
Right. And there's like a Twitter or X page that kind of it's kind of just is like coming soon is about the amount of information that's out, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And then, well, so then there's the devs, and it becomes confusing. So it's Dan TDM,
Right.
who has nothing to gain from it, right? He has like everything, and so and not everything, but he has a lot of stuff and a lot of money and
Right.
fame, and so he doesn't have necessarily a lot to gain from it. Not that he doesn't, and not that he doesn't care, but he hasn't said anything about it since it came out. So, or
Right.
that's not true. He hasn't said a lot about it since it came out, or since it was revealed.
Right.
And then there's some other people, and then there's the episode, or I don't remember the actual name, but they go by the episode, online, and they are the just they might be the only developer.
Okay.
It's a little confusing because there's the one developer, right, and they left on presumably not great terms, not like the
Yeah, they
worst,
said some
but
stuff that, yeah, it made the future seem cloudy. Whether how accurate that was, I don't know.
yeah. And then so then there's like one dev who is I don't want to say this in a bad way, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but they have the most to gain because they have the least like I don't know if I'd say seeing the least success in the community, but they haven't like they're not like a quote big name person in the community, and
Hmm.
so they they're very committed to this, and they it's not like they're honestly being like it's not like they have other stuff that they're working on instead of this, so they're committed
Yeah.
to it. But then like the other people look it appears aren't as committed, or don't have as much reason to be. So yeah, that's Twin Leaf.
Yeah, and I think that from an interview I heard, there's was kind of this two-tier idea. First, releasing it kind of what PTC is a simulator, which is what PTCG Simulator does, for like kind of for testing and for help for teaching, and then more of a client that's more automated for general play as a second step.
Yeah. I will say that the simulator, the PTG simulator, does work decently well for regular play.
Hmm.
It works as well as I'd say it works slightly better than playing in person for like
Hmm.
newer players, but not as well as live, right? You can obviously like make mistakes.
Correct. You can make mistakes, but if you're looking to coach someone, it certainly might be a better way to do it. Also, like you can't in live, if you wanted to coach, you can't turn off the timer in friends matches like you could in PTZ. If you want to coach someone, you want to be able to, even if you just want to play casual with your friend, you might just want to stop the game for a minute and chat about what you had for lunch if you want, right? Or have a
Yeah.
question and say, "Hey, we're play testing. I've got this in my hand, and we're here at the game. Just work through all your plays, right, for a couple minutes." Is a nice thing to be able to do. So, again, PTC Simulator does all that, which is very
Yeah. And
nice.
there's an undo button that was recently added, which is super cool.
Hmm.
Which means you can like make plays and then undo them, and you can undo as much as you want. So that
Yeah.
could be useful. I don't know if there's a redo button. I think
Oh,
someone complained that they kept like they accidentally hit undo.
oh, and they
And
lost. Yeah, what they had
uh,
done. The game got messed. Yeah.
um, I don't know if that actually changed anything, but anyway, so this
Yeah.
PCG Simulator is cool. As you said, there's a two like the like the lower level client, like the weaker the simulator, and then like the
Yeah.
client, and the client's supposed to come after. But
Hmm.
the only thing we've heard about is the client. We haven't heard anything about like the simulator. So and it appears that the client is kind of weird. It's very hard to follow. The client might be done.
Oh yeah.
But it's just not being like published or shown to anyone. Um, which
Well,
seems like the exact opposite of
what
what
you
you want
want.
to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Now the person that left with their little, what they said, did raise legal concerns, right? And obviously,
but
coming
they're
at
also like the only ones
so I
talking like
no, I
they
get
seem
it.
to have created like Twin Leaf seems to have like conjured up their own like enemies. Like no one
Yeah.
else was like, oh, what about legal stuff? It's not like people are looking at the simulator and being like, or the PTC simulator and being like, what about legal stuff, or TCG
Right.
One or um, Untap, or Tabletop Simulator, which are all similar things, um, which
Yeah.
have all been fine. And so I don't know. I feel like they're being scared of
They
issues that
could
aren't
be.
aren't really there.
Because of Dan TDM, it did get more attention, right? So that potentially raises a target.
But
But
I
I,
feel like Pokemon would like that's the exact opposite thing that like Pokemon that would mean that Pokemon wouldn't want to go after Dan TDM because like that's a bad look for them.
yeah, that could
Versus
be.
going after like I don't know if it's not like a good look going after
It,
like
yeah.
TCG one, but
And I don't, and we'll get, and obviously we want to get back to live real soon because a part of it is what's their attitude towards live. They can't, like the executives at Pokemon. These are very successful people. I gotta assume, right? They're running a huge franchise that just basically they're printing money, right? is they print
Yeah.
those cards. It's like better than printing money, basically, right?
Yeah.
And video games and all that. So they can't be happy about. They have to know it's not a good quality game, or at least they don't probably ever touch the game, Pokemon Live, right? I don't know. At least most of them probably don't. But they have to hear it's not good, and they can't like be having knowing that people are saying a product they're putting out is bad, right? So I'm not
Like
sure.
really, well, I don't know. I mean, they do that with like the video games as well, but like the video games are obviously much better
Yeah.
than live as well. People don't necessarily love them, but as you said, they're just like printing money, so they can like they could literally like print like horrible cards, and
Right.
people would still and they still make a ton of money. I mean, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't necessarily like what they're doing a lot with live, but I mean,
Hmm.
they're making money not off of live, but everything else, and so
Right.
they're not really worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, part of, and I want to talk about live in the monetization of live as part of it. Was one of the things I had mentioned because what's Pokemon's incentive with live, right? We were hoping for a good product, but now it seems like they just did it to cut costs, and they don't. And I think they're trying to make a product comparable to PTCGO, which wasn't really, which was fine, but just marginally fine, and but just doing it for cheaper, which isn't a good future, right? I mean, right now there's no incentive financially in their business. Why would they put more resources into live? It doesn't, unless you can say, hey, because there's this digital code card in a pack, people pay a nickel more a pack, right? And that's about all they
Which
could get, right?
yeah, which isn't true, right? Like,
They don't even get a nickel.
well, I mean, I don't think that like people pay more for the code cards, right? I think
I
most
don't think they
people
do.
just like, yeah. So
And the code cards get resold online, so someone makes some money off of them, but Pokemon doesn't get any of that money. And so there's no financial incentive, right? There's zero monetization, whereas basically all the other digital TCGs, which are a lot better than live, the card game might not be better than Pokemon, but the digital client's better than live. Part of it is they're making money. Live is just spending money. I don't think it's really getting more players into the game. I guess that's the other thing. It's like free. It's
I
advertising to get
think it
players
kind
in.
of is. I think there are certainly people who like. So you said you had some numbers to me. So
Yeah,
I want to hear these numbers.
yeah. So just looking at so this was an article from September 23. So about a card
Wait,
game.
September 2023 or
Yeah, September
September
of
2030?
2023. Sorry, last year,
Okay.
last September, from where we're recording. So Marvel Snap just broke $100 million in revenue. I don't know if that might be lifetime. I'm not sure. Obviously, that one's it made it the highest earning TCG, and that's
It's not
obviously,
a TCG though.
well, it's
Or a
called a
CCG.
TC. You can look, yes, you can call them collectible card games instead, but they're still referred to by TCGs in most places.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
So if you want to think of it as a collectible card game, that's fine, right? So that's the biggest. The number two one is Yu-Gi-Oh, Master Duel, and Master
Is that the current one?
Link. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they've
Okay. I
got
mean, yeah, it makes sense
55
that it would
million.
be.
So
Okay, that's a bunch.
yeah, a big drop off though. Obviously, obviously Marble wanted to Snap is mobile focused, which they wanted to do that with Live, and I think that's a problem too. I don't know if we're going to discuss that or not with time. But then third is Magic the Arena is 20 million, which is obviously you and I would take that if someone gave us that, but that's a big drop off from 100 million. And
Maybe you would take that, but
not for you.
YouTube money coming in eventually. Sometime I like no, yeah, obviously that's
You're right. And I saw an article at one point that said that the average arena player spends more money than the average IRL player on
average Magic IRL
Magic.
player.
Magic the Gathering player spends less than the average arena player, which is surprising, but I think that seemed reliable, that article. And then Hearthstone is at 19 million, just about the same.
Okay, so and is that it, or is there anything else
Those
on the
were the
list?
numbers. Now, the other thing in terms of looking at
Pokemon TCG Live 0.
zero, correct. Now, I was looking at the Pokemon page. They do have a whole section with that agreement about that when you set up your Play Pokemon account about microtransactions and digital stuff in games, which I don't know that even the video game stuff, they don't actually do microtransactions, do they?
The Pokemon video games.
Yeah, in
I mean, they have
game.
DLC.
Right,
I guess
but you
I don't
don't.
know.
But it's not
I
in
guess it's not.
game, so I'm not sure. But anyway,
But you pay for the game,
you
and
do.
then you pay. You definitely pay money, and the money goes straight to Pokemon or whatever. So
Yeah, and I'm not sure with other things like Unite if there's things you can pay for. I
I just
haven't.
assume there are. There's currency, and I don't play
Yeah.
Unite, but I assume so.
Hmm.
I feel like so. So you said you wanted to talk about what do you think microtransactions are good? So do you think they're what do you want microtransactions in life?
I think they're probably, if we want live to be a full a good game with multiple formats and stuff, something that's better than PTCGO was, and right now they're struggling to get there. I think they need to have a financial incentive to do it. And I think microtransactions are necessary for that. Um,
Yeah, I feel like the thing I'm worried about is like it's still only like they're not gonna make a ton of money off of it. I don't think maybe they could, but to me that seems a little unlikely. And so if they're just earning like a little money,
but if they can
then
break
why would they
even,
care, right?
right?
Well, yeah, but like I don't know.
So it's
I don't know what it's like to be like a big business.
right,
But
and unlike these other, because here's these other online games, just real quick. This is from Google Play Stats. So Legends of Runeterra has the highest rating, to 4.6 out of 5, and it's downloaded by over 10 million people.
that's
Yu-Gi-Oh,
good.
yeah, and this is just Google Play. So Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel is 4.5 rating and 5 million.
Hmm.
Marvel Snap, the highest grossing, is 4.4 rating, 10 million. So Imp Arenas, a 4.2 rating, dropping off a little bit, 5 million. So the lower side there. Hearthstone, 4.1 rating, 50 million. So a lot more people. I think that really was, that's been around the longest, though, of these, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds right. I
And
know Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh have like had different ones.
right, because Arena is the current one, which is kind of like PTCGO or Live. They had online, which was it actually you could actually turn your digital cards into IRL cards. There was a way to do that even. So it was, but you had to pay to play the game there. So it was a very different system. And
Oh
then
yeah, that's weird.
it was like if you collected a full play set of like say Evolving Skies cards, obviously talking Pokemon here, you could then turn your digital cards into a full play set of IRL Evolving Sky cards.
I think that's cool. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'd want that because that means then you're spending a lot online. Actually, I probably wouldn't want that, but I feel like that would get people into the game. That would get at some point I want to talk about like not necessarily not today, but I feel
Yeah.
like the way that collectors obviously interact with Pokemon and
Hmm.
then players, and that would kind of get them together. Because if you could play the game and then get like,
Actual
okay, well, I'm
cards.
assuming that the set, like the Pokemon cards would be worth much more than the Magic cards because that's I'm assuming that's true.
I think yeah. I mean,
But
obviously
still, that'd be
Pokemon's
like
a big
cool to
collecting
get
thing.
collectors into players.
Yeah, and also with the old uh Magic Online, you could there was like you could pay a monthly fee and then you had access to all the cards. You paid like $10 a month and you got all access to all the cards, which was an interesting
Yeah,
way
and
to
I think
work it.
that's pretty cool. I definitely am worried that if Pokemon monetized live, that it would be inaccessible to um free to play players. Right now, I think the only thing good about live is the economy,
Hmm.
and if they've ruined that, then
Right.
there isn't any.
Right. As a free to play player, you have access. I mean, PTGO was okay for free to play. It's really easy to get.
I'd say it was bad. I'd say it wasn't like you couldn't get the new cards.
Yeah, but
You couldn't get the good new
and I'm going to
cards.
talk about Arena for a minute because and it shows the downside to monetization. But first, that list of ranking the stuff. Then the last card game is live on the list, and its ranking today is 2.6. So out of
That's
5.
a substantial step up from what it's been. Actually, it's not that much. I don't know. I think it depends
So
on the.
you have
It's been
4.6
like
to
lower
4.1 to Hearthstone, 2.6, and it's been downloaded a million plus times on Google Play.
live.
Live has, yeah.
Oh, that's not that many.
Where the others were 5 million. Now it's been
I
around.
mean, it is the newest, or the yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's also not good, right? I think it's fair to say.
yeah,
And it probably should have a warning.
mhm.
Your phone might melt when you play it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I had like I got like a new phone that is like not good. My phone broke, so I have to like get this one that is not the
It's
best.
my old phone.
I
I just
yeah.
is which so it's like 6 years old or
Yeah,
something.
and I'm not going to download live on it. Because I'm
No,
nervous that like it might because the phone gets hot naturally. I'm like actually nervous that the phone would like
it could
explode or like break or
overheat.
something. Not like explode, but
Yeah,
like actually not like I don't know if I'd say actually melt, but kind of. I'm not gonna download live on it.
it could ruin the phone. I mean, trying to run live on an old phone, I
Yeah,
think
which is
so.
like absurd. Like that like shouldn't be even like feasible. Like it's but like
Right.
how did they manage to do this? Um,
So
one thing do you want to talk about something
let me
specific
talk about it
or
just on Arena for a second here. I loaded up on if you're watching my video, you can see it, but I like they have the in-game store. So the thing is, you can succeed as a free-to-play person to an extent, but they really want you to spend money, and they have. But it seemed like Live was kind of set up with this because they have two currencies, gold coins and gems, and the gold coins are mostly in the game for the free stuff that you get through grinding the game, and the gems for the most part you have to buy. You buy gems, and this is what they say microtransactions. It sounds small, but yes, you can buy 750 gems for $5, but then you can buy 20,000 gems for $100, and $100.
and what does that like get you?
So if you spend $100, which gets you the best deal, you have to well. One of the
Like how
things
many
is the
cards?
battle
Like
pass. Like the battle pass, they have two battle passes to get the in the basic one. Every other tier is nothing on the free one. Okay, you get a pack and then nothing and a pack and nothing. Whereas you get something every tier in the pay one, but you have to pay 3,400 gems, which would
which is
cost you 3,400. Look at the store, and I think it's like sorry, as I click over, it's $20.
okay. So and how long is that?
It's like 3 months, I think.
Okay, and then
And therefore you get a
and
lot more packs as you progress up the ladder.
yeah, and how much would that like get, like how much would it take to essentially be able to play everything in Magic? Do you know?
To get every, I don't know, there's a lot potentially to do. I mean,
Yeah,
part
like
of it
hundreds of
is
dollars. Like how
I
much a
think
year? Like
so. Plus, they run events. Now, part of it is because they monetize. You get a lot of formats. Magic has more formats anyway, but Arena has a lot, and they actually have tournaments with prize money run in Arena too, which is kind of nice if you want to do that. But they have draft styles and stuff. But what was I saying? So, but within this master pass, like which is like the same thing as the battle pass, you have to play a bunch of games every day to finish it. Like people complain about you finish the battle pass, you don't get much, which is true after for like a month of getting nothing. You have to really grind in arena to finish the battle pass or the master pass every time, which I don't like that either. Right? There's a lot of pressure to put time in to get everything. So
yeah, I guess. But I think it's better. I don't know.
and
I
they
can see
have
where
different formats of stuff, different like tournaments against other players, which is pretty neat. Um, and but some of them, but again, you need gems or coins to get into these different events. And some are draft events, which I think is a lot of fun. But like this draft event, well, it's 750 coins, gems. I mean, so it's what a couple dollars, right? But if you keep doing that, a couple times, it quickly adds up too. So
yeah.
so
So I
so
feel
they
like
give you
that's
options,
interesting.
but you're paying a lot. It's look, you look in the game, it's very nicely done. They communicate with the fans. I do some arena. People, the arena community complain that the company doesn't communicate it a lot, but compared to Pokemon, they communicate a lot more.
Yeah,
Um,
Pokemon doesn't like do do much. They can just I don't know what they do.
so looking like under the events page, there's 17 events I could choose from right now. Which is and I don't even know how all these formats are, quite frankly, really. I don't I only do a little bit of magic, but it's nice. You have a lot of options, and they have every week a free event of a different type that you get to try out if you want to. So it's got nice things, but it's highly monetized. You're probably paying if you want to have access to a lot of stuff, at least $50 to $100 probably every new expansion comes out, which is similar to Pokemon, I think 4 times a year.
Yeah, okay. So that's kind of I don't know how I feel about that.
But
because
that's but if
I
Pokemon does that, we could have a really good game like Arena, but for Pokemon, which would be nice, right?
yeah,
But I don't want
yeah,
to see it that monetized. I will say.
yeah. And now I also want to talk about Marvel Snap,
Yep.
um, which I played more.
Right.
One thing about Marvel Snap that's more similar to Pokemon, I actually don't have it installed on my computer. I did. It's so there's a lot of stuff to talk about Marvel Snap, and Marvel Snap found success. I think it like very clearly found success
Yes.
very quickly. Um, it's kind of comparable in its time frame to Live, I think.
Yeah, I think
Um,
was it a little certainly before it came out before the beta became global. I think Snap a little bit. I could be wrong though.
yeah. Mhm. No,
But it was a
and
good
then
product from day one, and
yeah.
obviously,
Or wait, no, I think it was. I don't remember the timeline.
okay.
But yeah. So Marvel Snap, as you said, well, Marvel Snap, as you said, it's good, or
Yeah.
it was good. I think it's the hype's like died down, but
Okay.
um, it's pretty interesting that it saw a lot of success. As you said, it made a lot of
Hmm.
money as well.
Yep.
Was very heavily monetized, but Pokemon cards are very expensive. The physical cards are expensive, and
Yes.
that's where it's more similar to Pokemon than Magic is. Magic, the characters. Okay, maybe I'm a hater, but I feel like the characters are really boring in Magic. Um, I know there's like lore and stuff, but nowhere near the level of Pokemon, and certainly nowhere near the level of Marvel. Um,
Hmm.
so Marvel has this brand
Yeah.
what's it, recognition,
Recognition. Yeah.
um, and then and that means that like they're able to sell this stuff and make lots of money. And then the game
Yeah.
is there's not a difference between collectors and players. It's all kind of one, which is cool. That's something I like.
Hmm.
There's just the Pokemon community is very split, and I think other communities
Yeah.
are split as well. And so you do need to spend a lot. I don't know if you need, I don't know exactly how the economy works, but it's also a mobile game, so um,
Right.
that's good. I mean, that's for a company that's better. That's why like Pokemon wanted to make Live a mobile game.
Yeah.
And they did, I guess.
Well, as long as your phone can work. But it kind of looked, it's largely had the aesthetics of a game that was designed to fit on a phone screen and then just made it big with lots of blank hexagons around the edges on the computer.
On Live.
Yeah, on live.
Yeah, I think now on the computer it looks okay.
Yeah, they've improved it a lot. Yes.
Mhm. But yeah, so I thought you were gonna say that for Marvel Snap, and I was like, yeah, Marvel Snap's like designed for the phone.
Right.
Um,
yeah, I mean, I've done Snap on the phone. Don't have any interest in doing it on the computer, right? It's designed to sit on the phone for just a few minutes at a shot.
yeah, and that's where fundamentally Pokemon can't work on mobile because
Right.
uh, it takes too long, and there's too much stuff going on that quite frankly isn't that interesting. I mean, it's kind of interesting, and obviously I find it like you and I find it interesting.
Hmm.
But even like every single action, I don't care about every single action in the Pokemon game. Sure, playing Professor's Research is very impactful, but it's not like that exciting. Um, and it's not like, oh wow, I'm so excited to watch someone play Professor's Research.
Yeah.
Versus Marvel Snap, you only have like you only have 12 cards, and so
Right.
it's like each card is like more impactful,
Hmm.
and you only have 6 turns. You have exactly 6 turns.
Right.
Actually, I think there's a card that changed it, but like it's very set. It's like, okay, you're gonna play for I think it's like 3 minutes or that would sound about right. Maybe
Yeah.
5. This is Pokemon is longer. Um,
Hmm.
Even live, which is faster than IRL, which I think is a very big aspect. And this live is faster than the simulators, and that's what makes it better.
Yeah.
But even then, it's still kind of slow.
Hmm.
Especially with especially because as I said, I'm the next generation from you, or yeah, I don't know how generations work, but um, I'm Gen Z. I'm a Zoomer. I have a short attention span, and live doesn't keep up with that. So
Yeah.
I'm usually sometimes I'll admit. Actually, no, I don't really do this, but I'll like be like watching a YouTube video or doing something like kind of in the background, or live is the background or something else, and then
Yeah.
it's kind of weird because you have your turn, and
Hmm.
your turn is like you're doing stuff, then your opponent's turn, and on your opponent's turn you're like not really doing anything, which is kind of weird.
Right.
Um, and Marvel Snap is made for like a modern audience.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it was obviously right. I mean, Pokemon was designed to be a TCG first, right? And then it became a computer game, which I think it works reasonably well there. But then as a phone game, it doesn't work well on a small screen. Um, can play Arena on my phone, but I don't. Although Arena works pretty well on a tablet, and Pokemon doesn't work well on the tablet either. So,
Well, I think it works. What do you mean? Like,
well, it heats it up. It's okay. I actually find the dragging actions not great on the tablet, but maybe that's just me.
yeah, I don't know.
It's
I've
also still landscape, right? They haven't made it into. I mean, it's portrait. It's vertical. It's still not sideways, right?
uh,
On the tab, I
the
think.
mobile is. I don't know about tablet. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird. Um, PTGO that was playable on tablet, right?
Yeah, and I had a tablet that I could play
Weird that it
PTCGO
wasn't
on,
playable on.
and then once Live came out,
Um,
it was just too recent. It wouldn't load, and eventually, they got it as they proved it could load, but still wasn't playable. Like it would get all glitchy in the middle of turns because it was just using too much resources. So
yeah. Wait, what wouldn't?
live it was just too resource intensive for the tablet
Oh,
I had.
yeah. I think I've said this
But
before. I think live coming to the Switch would be super good. I don't know if it would solve all the problems, but I
yeah,
think it would solve a lot because
it,
the Switch gets a lot of attention by a lot of very
it's
dedicated Nintendo fans, and so if
yeah,
it's really really awful, um, people are
it
gonna
would have to
like
get
take
better.
notice.
Well, here's
Huh?
here's
Yeah.
I was gonna say first off, I don't understand why it's not on the Switch, but then I think I answered it in my own mind why it's not because it is completely logical. It should be on the Switch. Why isn't it? And the only reason the one thing I can think of, because then it has to be available globally, including Japan. And Japan, and this is honestly part of why Live is bad. Japan doesn't have an online client. They didn't have PTCGO either. They have a condensed population, so people can find IRL games more. But so half of the Pokemon Corporation doesn't even touch the online client. That hurts it, right? But if it went to the Switch, it would have to be available to everyone with a Switch, I think,
Yeah,
right?
and quite frankly, the better half of like the main half of the Pokemon Corporation
Right.
isn't like
It's
touching it, which is
where
weird.
right where the game comes from, and I think they have a lot of power in what happens, right? There because they're the originators still. So yeah.
And so that dynamic's weird. Um, and I don't really know much about the Pokemon in Japan and how that works.
Hmm.
And how like like what the like how I don't know, just like I know it's different, right? The culture
Hmm.
obviously. I mean, culture is different everywhere, but like um,
Right, but they have
it's
different.
like Japan is like one area, and then everyone else is another area, and it's kind of weird. Um,
Right. I mean, it's a little more than just Japan itself. I think the region,
yeah, it's more than Japan. It's a few
but
Asian
right, but
nations
most of Asia
as
is
well, I think.
not in that region. But
No, well, okay, so Pokemon also has some weird stuff where like at least with in-person events,
mhm.
there are areas like without Pokemon. So
Yeah,
I don't know if they're exactly without Pokemon, but they kind of are. Like I don't think in certain countries in Asia you can like
I
get live.
no, you can't. And in fact, I will say some of the stuff's weird because I posted a video. I do economy stuff on hey reminding people about signing up to get
Live economy.
yeah, live economy. Sorry, yeah, not the global economy or how to get more money in your pocket. Um, but you get those free packs when every set comes out. You just have to sign up for the marketing newsletters. And someone said, "Hey, I can't get it," but And they also said, "Hey, I have one box to check for the marketing, whereas I have two here in the United States." And they said, "Hey," ultimately it was like, "I think it's probably because I'm in another country, so I can't get those packs." And different
Oh,
countries
that's
have
annoying.
different things because remember they have like. Oh, remember the worlds thing where you pick your team, right? Draft the worlds thing, right? It was only like six countries or a dozen countries that you could do that competition in, whereas most of the countries, even that had players going to worlds, couldn't
Wait,
actually.
what are you sorry, what are you
Remember
talking about? I
there
don't
was
think we're
a draft the worlds event
that
for
was no, that was
Pokemon.
an invitational.
No, no,
Yeah,
no. There was the thing we
like the
picked,
fantasy team.
the fantasy thing.
Yeah, that was thing. Oh, I didn't know that was only available in
Only certain
um
countries. And like, remember they had like a sign up where it was a lottery. It was just like a random lottery to win like a booster box and stuff. Remember at one point they had that. I don't know if you do. You just
I
kind
mean
of
they do stuff like that
right. And if you look at
periodically.
it though, they give the list of countries is like only like six countries or something can do it usually. We're just in one of the countries that usually always has it, but like most of the world
Yeah, like
can't. Most countries in the world can't do these. It's very split up with what happens with what countries. It's part of it, obviously, international law gets weird too, right? So there's a lot of
Yeah,
weird things in different countries and regions. That was my
yeah,
point
yeah,
there.
yeah, and it's something that obviously we're not going to like try on too much because we don't really know what we're talking about. But I don't know. I mean, everyone should be able to play Pokemon, right? I think that's something we
Yeah,
both agree on.
right. I mean, correct. Yeah,
And
obviously
there's really a reason that that shouldn't happen, right? I mean, it's Pokemon, right?
obviously there's legal issues, right?
Yeah, there
That's
are,
part
but
of it, and part of it is obviously like with kids too. And Pokemon is design. That's one of like it's a game designed for children, right? That's the initial audience for the game, I would say, right?
yeah,
So, and that gets even more complicated with legally, right? So,
yeah, that's true.
you don't want to like not allow children to play the game either. I don't think. So
Yeah, and that's also gets weird with like in-person events with age divisions.
yeah,
Um, and then or even online events with age divisions, you get some weird stuff. But anyway,
yeah,
um, getting back to live, I think
yeah.
is there something specific you want to talk about
No,
or
no, no. We need to get back to live. We've obviously
yeah,
wandered too far. Did you have
yeah.
something or?
So I think that I didn't have anything off the top of my head. I
All right.
forgot
I mean,
where I was
the
going.
one question is so live needs to get better. I think we would agree with that. I think our audience would agree with that too. How can it get better? I do have the question: can it get better without monetization? And obviously, I'm concerned with monetization that it becomes too much of a thing, right? Because one of the criticisms for other TCGs, digital TCGs that are monetized, is they play to win, right? And that there are games that I think have just been
Pay
good
to
game,
win, right?
pay to win. Sorry,
Yeah.
pay to win. And there's games that have kind of gotten destroyed where they lost their fan base because it came just overly monetized. That's obviously a big concern, but I'm not sure if it stays like it is, I'm not so sure that it's going to get too much better.
Yeah, well, and a few things from that pay to win aspect. So I'm gonna say I don't like games that are pay to win. I very much don't.
Hmm.
And that's why I really like live. Well, okay, I don't know. So PCG was kind of pay to win, in the worst possible way, in that Pokemon didn't get any money despite that, which was impressively bad. But
Yeah, for a company good at making money, that they missed out there.
yeah, like I don't know how you make a game pay to win that you don't make money. But anyway, um, and so they had that was an issue. But then like, um, but Pokemon, the video, or not the like IRL TCG is
Hmm.
very pay to win.
Oh,
You
it's
can
very
make some,
expensive. Yes.
yeah, you can make some arguments. Oh yeah, it's pay to play and it's also pay to win. I
Hmm.
guess there's a lot of weird stuff.
Well,
Um,
yeah, the fact that just IRL wise, you need more points to qualify for Worlds from North America. That's largely because higher level of wealth in North America, right? And that lets more
and
people get them
honestly,
more
like
tournaments.
craziness, like people just spend in. I mean, I don't know. We were both American,
Yeah.
so we both like really mainly know Americans, but
Hmm.
Americans spend like lots of money on like really silly stuff, including Pokemon. And
Right.
Pokemon, I love it, but it's kind of silly. Um, and I wouldn't spend. Eh, no, I don't know. I was gonna say I wouldn't spend absurd amounts of money. I haven't, but I'm not saying I wouldn't. But like
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just kind of like I think that's also why like Americans are willing to like spend all this money. Not like compared to other. I don't know if that's actually true or if I'm just like imagining things, but um, clearly Americans are willing to spend a lot of money on Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number. Obviously, America's a large population
The North
base.
America,
North America, right?
specifically U.S. and Canada, which is how Pokemon.
Which is yes, yes, that's its own. Pokemon's regions don't exactly align with the way the rest of the world see things. North America, just Mexico's just not there. But
Yeah, although that is kind of how it's sometimes looked at, but it's kind of weird.
yeah,
Um,
but yeah. I mean, with PTC Geo, I think it wasn't pay to win necessarily, but it was pay for early access. You got the access to the cards quicker, right?
well, you got the access to the cards within 3 months. Like
Right.
you need to wait till the next set comes out. So, for example, so Arceus came out in Brilliant Stars. The
Hmm.
set after that was Astral Radiance.
Right.
Um, so if I wanted to play Arceus when it came out and then Palkia when it came out, you'd need to spend some money,
Yeah.
probably, or like there are other things you could do, but they were difficult. And PCG I think like crashed when new sets. It might not have crashed, but it had issues when new sets came out, as live does.
Oh, yeah, because of the whole trading thing, like that you had
Yeah,
to like save up your event tickets if you remember, and then play the events that you could win tradable packs in, and then you had to go into server where you found trades with other people, which had some nice things, but there's a lot of scamming of new players, and then the server would get overwhelmed, especially with those early days of something, and it was a bit of a mess.
yeah. And so that was like awkward, but then so pretty much what it came down to was you couldn't get the new cards right away. You'd more or less need to wait till the next set. So I need to wait till Astral Radiance to play Arceus, which is around 3 months later.
Right, because then
And
Palkia
by
came
then the
out, and you couldn't afford Palkia at that point, but you can now afford Arceus.
yeah, and then that's like it is what it is.
Right.
Um
Although, like when Mew came out, you probably you still couldn't afford Mew after the next set came out, probably.
no, well, yeah, you can because the new packs have like such inflated value compared to
Yeah.
like the previous packs. So you'd
Hmm.
pretty much have like you play a tournament, you just get like gold bars essentially. Like they're worth so much, but not. But then also the new cards are also worth absurd amounts. So like
Right.
there are a few things that are worth like absurd amounts, um, like for a short period of time. So anyway, but like the
Yeah.
economy was bad in my opinion. It was kind of pay to win or ish,
I.
which it
y-
wasn't great.
Yeah. If you were trying to put together like the top competitive decks to be ready, say for IRL events, you had to pay money because otherwise you weren't going to access the new cards right away.
Yeah. One thing I want to say is I don't think Pokemon or any other client or simulator for that matter should be prioritizing like testing for events. I feel like if you're like testing for events, that's just a small portion of player
Yeah.
like a I don't know what percent. I was gonna like say like make up some number like 0.1%, which could be right. That like could be right, but that could be like off as well. It could be like really far off. Um,
Yeah, I
but
think most players they're playing live just as a game to casually relax in their spare time. I think that's how most people approach it. But most content creators and a lot of the attention is the competitive people.
yeah, that's something. I think that's something you should talk about some other time. I want to
Okay.
talk about YouTube, right? The YouTube scene. I want to talk about that. But
Mhm.
um, and long story short, one other thing is Pokemon, and I guess the YouTube scene as well. It's not doing super great. It's not doing necessarily badly. Well, okay, right now it's actually doing kind of bad, but like um, or it's going to. I
The
don't know.
Pokemon YouTube scene isn't good.
Well, with Palion Fates, it kind of got like hype, but it was really terrible. And just caused like because there's usually like a 3 month cycle, and
Right.
Palion Fates essentially like messed it around and like shoved it forward like a
Hmm.
month, which means that um in
Well,
like
because
3 months we're getting like not gonna have any content to make, but whatever.
this was a collector set. The weird thing about it is they pushed back, in a sense, they kind of pushed back the regular set by a month to give more time for Paldan Fates. I'm not sure how the schedule
Did
got.
they? You sure?
Well, normally you have 4 sets a year, right? So it's about three
Yeah.
months a set. I think we had 3 months between what was before,
This is coming in. I don't know, but it's kind of
and
stuff.
then we
Sets
have
are
two
all kind
more
of like
months. So I
shifted.
think we have 5 months between main sets now, I think.
5 months? Wait, when did Paradox Rift come out?
Now you're asking me questions.
Yeah, okay, I'm
I,
gonna look.
I do have it written down here, easy access. So Paradox Rift came out
Oh,
November, November 3rd. Temporal Forces will come out March 22nd.
Okay, so that's a decent amount of time.
So like a month and a half. So it's like an additional month and a half beyond 3 months.
Yeah, okay, but like sets are moved around, but I think,
Yes, they
uh,
shift around.
yeah, which is kind of annoying, but it doesn't. It's fine. Um, anyway, so Palion Fates was bad. I think Palion Fates is like hurting the YouTube scene, but
Yeah.
anyway, um, just a
Well, it's a
little. It's not a
collector's
huge
set,
deal.
right? Which is that whole weird part of the weird dynamic of collectors versus players.
Yeah, but then like I don't know, you kind of have to make content for the new set, but there wasn't really much to make.
No.
Anyway, that's a whole another discussion. But
I am working on my United Wings deck though, because the new Kilowattrel, so something to get excited about.
yeah, but you should have done that like when it released.
I know, but
Although you got a big video recently, yeah, the cast form video,
I know,
which is my
exactly,
idea, by the way. That's my idea. I
which which
don't know.
which goes right against your, and that's old content if there ever was old content.
Well, it was with a new card though,
Yes, that's true. That's true. The new
which
tool,
was yeah.
which is key.
Um,
Yeah. But
Anyway,
anyway,
I think it's
so
I
with
think live has to like show improvement this year. That's
mhm.
my thought. Like if live isn't better this year, um, it's bad. We need to find some other solution.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this. All right, so it has to get better this year. So let me ask you, so does that mean it has to be as good as PTCGO or else?
I don't think it necessarily matters how good it is. It kind of does matter
Well,
how good it
well,
is,
first it
but
has to work, right? This year you can't not select cards,
I
right?
think we need to see signs that it's getting better,
Okay.
like distinct signs. And honestly, this year's been okay
It's
for live.
yeah,
They mentioned the battle lot, which was at the end of last year, but
right.
it was
Well,
pretty much
the
this year.
game got
Um,
better last year, right? Last calendar year, live did improve, but it was garbage.
Improved a
It
little
was
bit.
horrible at the start of the year, though. So it
Um,
went to just not so
I
good
guess
by the
just
end.
pretty terrible. I wouldn't say like it actually feels like better. I mean, it is better, but I wouldn't say morale's high. I'd say we'll know if live's made that like jump.
Hmm.
They're not gonna like suddenly change it into something really good or even like good enough. I think Pokemon will start embracing it. They'll start embracing live, um,
Hmm.
which they haven't done like at all, right? They clearly don't really care that much and don't really aren't proud of what they've made here.
Right. Well,
And so I think we'll know. I think Pokemon will start showing signs, and the community might, but I think Pokemon themselves definitely will if live is the future.
yeah. I mean, Pokemon never was excited about PTCGO either, right? But I guess the thought was that was a different third party was running was put. You know, they're just paying someone else to do it. So this is their own baby, so they should care about it more, right?
Yeah, and they were proud of it before it came out. Like they were kind of
Yes.
hyping it up and stuff, and they stopped, which isn't a good sign, right? If you're a company, you should
Right.
be excited for your own stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's the question. So if live doesn't get better, what are you going to do, right? And I don't know the answer. Is that mean at some point you just stop playing Pokemon online?
I think it's the simulator. I think Pokemon TCG Simulator is so far the only thing we've
Hmm.
seen that can feel that. We have seen things like
Well.
it, but I think PT like there's TCG one that gets talked about a lot.
Hmm.
Like every time I'm like Twin Leaf or Live or PCG Simulator, I feel like TCG one is it's fine, but I think it's
Hmm.
only just fine. I think the Pokemon TCG Simulator has the potential to it become something really cool because it has this like I don't know, like fan engagement. I don't know if that's the right term,
Hmm.
but like people like it and
Yeah.
its future is looking good.
But net, there's two things that any simulator I don't think is ever going to do. One, it can't do all the actions automatically. I think if you automate everything, you do run legal risks for one thing,
I don't know. I feel
and it's
like
a lot harder to
Pokemon.
do too.
I think it's hard to do. I think the legal issue isn't something. I don't know. It's not something I am worried about too much. Or if it is, it's drama, which is always good for YouTube.
Well,
Which is I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of true as well.
right.
I'd rather someone. The thing I've disliked about, like, for the most part, I think Twin Leaf has been. I haven't said great things. I've said some good things about it and some like not so great things about it. But
Hmm.
the big issue is that they're not like willing to step out there and like try almost like they're not
Hmm.
pushing the boundaries. And I don't know. I feel like, as I said, they're almost like scared to do it, and like that's not good, right? That's not gonna end up with
Hmm.
something great. If you're like just doing, I mean, maybe in like 10 years, but if
Hmm.
you're not pushing the boundaries, you're not gonna get anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, well, look for. I mean, the Twin Leaf. The big thing is it's been a lot. It's been a hype, but no product at all so far. So which is obviously disappointing. But look, I don't. I think there's issues with automating the actions, and if they're not automated, it's not going to be the same, right?
Well, I think it could. Well, there's two things. One, um, in-person play isn't automated, right? And in-person play is
Correct.
popular. Um,
Yes.
So I think it could be like without automation, but I think there's the possibility that something like the Pokemon TCG Simulator could get automated. It's obviously a lot of work, but
Hmm.
right now one person
Right.
is
Dealing
creating
with.
something, and it's not automated, but it's receiving
You could get a team. You
yeah
also
they
got.
could get it.
You have to update constantly, and obviously, every new mechanic is gonna, make life difficult. But the other
That's
thing,
true, but it could happen. I think it's definitely feasible if
maybe.
like because people want something, so people would
Hmm.
work to get something good. Like
Here's the other
Um,
thing, though. I don't think it's ever going to. I don't think it's ever going to do. This is the thing that Twin Leaf said. Well, I'm not sure if they do this in the full blown version or not. But auto pairing, right? You want to sit down, and I don't want to have to find out someone on Discord or I just want to click in and be paired up against someone that's hopeful and ideally with some good pairing system that's hopefully my level.
yeah. Yeah, I will say Live's pairing system is not that good. It's fine, but
Yeah,
it's not the best.
but you want to be able to pair in, right? Because especially
Yeah,
if
no,
you
I
want to
think that can
relax,
happen.
you
I
want to
think that's
pair
pretty
in
doable. I think
in automated
I've
actions.
I've heard some stuff from Shasha Long, the
Mm-hmm.
dev of PCG Simulator.
Yeah.
I think that could happen. I think that's
Really? Okay.
doable.
Well, that would
I
be
don't know if it's super like. Well, okay, no, I think they said they could have some like account feature or something. I don't
okay.
know. They're kind of weird about it. They didn't really say a
Hmm.
ton about it. And it's not
Okay.
something they're currently like looking into, but I think it's
Yeah.
something that because there are room codes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you could create it, not necessarily with an ELO pairing system.
Just you get a random
Um,
room assignment. You're in room 22.
yeah, which I
When
think
you
isn't
click in.
necessarily that hard to do. Now like because there already are rooms, so you could
Mm-hmm.
just like stick someone into a room, right?
You could. Now, as something becomes more popular, I don't know all the ins and outs, but you need more. Your server load gets bigger, right? And also costs increase. So that's its own
That's
issue.
true. I think uh, uh
And maybe you could take some
yeah.
donations or something.
Yeah, they're
To
taking
offset that.
donations right now for that. So I don't know how much. I have no idea how much they've made, but
Hmm.
yeah, they made some.
But look, if whatever simulators out there, even if it's better, even if it's all that you would want for say live to be, the game's not going to grow that much. You're going to get current Pokemon people playing it, but if you're a new person looking, you're going to go to Legends of Runeterra, Hearthstone, Arena, Yu-Gi-Oh, Snap, any of those first, right?
Well, no,
Pokemon
because it's Pokemon.
Online's not going to grow.
No, but it's Pokemon, right?
If
So
you're already a
someone would
TCG
go to
player,
Pokemon. No,
if you're
if
an
you're
IRL
if
TCG player, I think.
no, I think if you're well, but everyone knows not everyone, but like a lot of people know Pokemon, and so they're gonna
Yeah.
be like, oh, there's Pokemon, and oh, I've heard that Pokemon's good, and then they'll go to. I don't think they'll necessarily have that same level of like growth, especially from
Hmm.
people who don't really care that much, which is a little unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I don't think it wouldn't like grow. I think if
Okay.
there's something really good, it could grow.
All right. I mean, look, Pokemon's not just about. Well, obviously, they're not. They're more than the card game, which it complicates things as to where that fits in. But they're not just about collectors. We know because they put a lot of energy into IRL play, which has grown hugely, and Pokemon, I think, is very proud of that, and they are encouraging that to grow. I believe so. They care about the TCG. They need to put some of that care into the online client.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't necessarily love with the IRL tournaments either. As I don't like pay to win stuff. So,
No, but look, but part of it is being able to compete, right? I mean that's part. The online client, I think, is better off by having the IRL scene, and I think vice versa. Hopefully, they should feed each other, right? Is what I would
yeah, I
think.
don't think they necessarily do much. I think it might do it some. I think it could be. I think they could also function separately, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
Previously, like I don't know. I think they're very intertwined right now, and
mhm.
I don't know if that necessarily means that they feed each other, but they're intertwined, which is something. I don't know if it's good or it's bad, but yeah,
I mean, there should be a large population of people that are just playing the online client as an online
yeah,
client.
yeah,
I would say.
yeah. That's why I stand as well. But
Yeah.
do you think that that's it for this episode?
Yeah, I think so. And so, on a score of 1 to 10 by the end of this year, how good's live going to be?
Well, I'm 10 type, so 10. No.
Oh,
I
you
think, no, I think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna succeed. I think it's gonna be at like a 3.
a
Um,
3? Ouch.
maybe
All right.
1 to 10, or no, maybe a 4. I don't know.
All right.
If it, yeah,
And obviously, it's subjective how it is. I'll say a 7. I think it will see some significant
yeah.
improvement.
What do you think it's at now as well?
Well, see, for you and I, when we sit down on computers, it works pretty consistently, right?
I guess.
And I don't have glitches. I honestly can select my cards most of the time and stuff. And I don't
Well,
play
that's
lots.
not like that impressive.
Oh,
Like,
I
oh, I didn't like.
understand. No,
It's like
it does the
going to work and
minimum
say
of
like, oh, I didn't like die today. It's like, well,
yeah.
that's good, but like,
I think it's like a
yeah,
5. It's a
Okay,
4 or
I'd
5
say
now,
right now, I'd say it's a 3 now, and I'll go up to a 4,
up
maybe
to a 4.
something like that.
Okay.
I think it's won't. I think it's pretty not good now. It's not the worst, but it's not inspiring right now.
All right.
Are we
Here's
gonna talk
what
about the battle log thing? That's
he,
like a thing, but
so
there's not
here's
really
what
too much to
Live's
say
going to
about
have by
that.
the end of the year. I'll lay it on the line. Live is going to basically all the glitches will be worked out. We'll have
Yeah,
full expanded, which
yeah.
will mean
Mhm.
GLC. No, they're not going
Yeah.
to add its own GLC format, but they'll have full expanded and they'll have a log by the end of this year.
But do you
And
actually think these things are gonna happen?
I'm hoping, and they're going to
Well,
go, and they need to do something new. They need to do something new. So they're going to allow me to give a checkbox next to a box, a deck box style like sleeve and deck box and coin it could be my default. So I don't have to select it every time. And that's just
oh
and
yeah,
that
my decks are. Wait, you change it? Mine are all the regular one because
no,
I don't change it because it's annoying.
I like the little executor coin with the palm tree. So I use the summer because it's got palm trees on it. So it's a little theme there.
Okay.
So
Um.
that's what I do.
Yeah. No,
Ex-
that would be useful, I guess.
I mean, it's a small
Um.
thing, but honestly, a small ask like that is like a big deal right now.
You sure you don't want like more stars on the coin flip?
I do. I mean, look, I want to be able to say when I import a deck, can I have 4 judge of a style I own, please?
Yeah, that'd be useful.
Why can't
Yeah.
I should be able to say this is the style judge out. See, that's with Arena, and I know you'd have to pay like hundreds of dollars a year if you want to play it to an extent, but you can do all these. I want this style of this card and this style of this card by default. And it does it when you import things and all, which is nice, right? And it's a digital world. It's not that hard to do, right?
No. I'll say. Well, it shouldn't be. I'll say the things I want. I think it'll have. I'll say it will have GLC as its own format. A
Wow.
GLC ladder. No, I don't think it's gonna. I
Rank
think it's not
GLC?
impossible. Yeah, ranked TLC. No, I don't think it'll happen, but that would be cool,
It
I
would.
guess. And then
They need to have standard expanded, and they need another format as well, I think.
yeah, I think it'll have. Um, I think they're gonna like bring back Legacy, or I think they're like I could see them bringing back Legacy, which is like such a stupid idea. Like, but I think they could like do it,
Hmm.
because they like always find the wrong thing to do.
They might, yeah.
No, and then they're gonna. I think they're going to. I think they're gonna like run a tournament. They're gonna be like, we finally got live working. They're gonna like run a tournament on it. It's
Hmm.
gonna go like super bad.
Oh, like they did the Players Cup, right? I mean
Yeah, yeah.
like that, so
Team
everyone can
challenge. Yeah,
play
except
it.
the team challenge. I mean, the team challenge was bad. Like the Players Cup was
Well, the Players
during.
Cup was funny because the Players Cup was started before Live, but then Live came out. And they're like, but you can't use Live for Players Cup. If you
Oh
migrate,
yeah.
you're
No, I
kicked
think it
out of
was
the
that.
Players Cup even because
No,
they
it was
knew
the
it was
team
that
challenge. I
bad.
think.
The Team Challenge. I'm sorry. Yeah, if you migrate during Team Challenge, you're like kicked out of the tournament. So that
Yeah,
wasn't a good sign of
yeah. But the team
confidence.
challenge was pretty not good.
Yeah,
Um,
I
I
think the
think that was
Players
it was.
Cup was okay though.
Yeah, I think the Players Cup was okay. I think is a little weird. But the team challenge. So they're gonna have something. It's gonna be like the team challenge, where it's like not
Mhm.
gonna work right.
Okay.
Because people like kept crashing during the team challenge. I don't know if you saw it, but they kept like crashing out of their games, and then like half the games like just ended in like a game loss because they crashed.
Oh, but the ones that
Um,
were shown online. I
yeah,
saw some of that.
which
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't see that many. I saw like a game and a half, but it was pretty unwatchable because they just crashed. So
Yeah.
so that's gonna happen, and then they're going to give up, and then they'll just like it'll go back to this.
Well, see, it's going to be like this, or they're going to start to monetize, and what they're going to do, and then maybe it's good. You're going to be able to get some CP towards worlds from online events.
Maybe.
You
Yeah.
know, but see, I think they're going to have to go one way or the other. I think it's going to be free and just kind of stagnate, or they're going to have to just embrace it
Yeah.
and make it more. So
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what live does. I think it's gonna be. I think this year is like the. I don't know if I'd say it's the most important year, but I think this is. Do you think that if live is like pretty underwhelming this year, it'll still have hope?
if it doesn't get, I think I think if this is a year that live just stagnates, I don't think it has a future unless at some point then they say, okay, we're going to pump money in and start charging money, which could make it worse too. But yeah, if it doesn't get better this year, we're in a lot of trouble with the online client just going forward indefinitely, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, we hope you enjoyed the podcast. subscribe to our channels on YouTube, 10 Types and Uncommon Fossil. And also you can check us out on any podcasting platform. But the best way to contact us will be through YouTube comments. I do have a Discord server as well, but it's hard to find because YouTube. So, but we're interested in hearing your thoughts on live and what it'll
Yeah.
do going forward.
Yeah, make your
And
prediction.
mhm. And how many out of 10 will it be? And then, yeah, we just hope you enjoyed, and we're excited to see you next time.
Take care.